Hatcher. Remains a very, very good FA Cup final. And Hatcher! What a magnificent goal!
Good evening and welcome to All Things Sky Blue match preview against Leeds on Saturday. At Ellen Road, we are away this weekend. Before I bring my guests in, just remember where you can find us. It is scrolling down the bottom, but I'll let you guys know for the podcast as well. We're available on Twitter, Facebook, TikTok, Instagram. We are on YouTube as well. Please go and like and subscribe. If you do listen to us on podcast, please go and rate us 5 stars. This season, we're partnered with the Anecdote Sports Bar and the Sky Blue Tavern in the Coventry City Centre. And we're sponsored by Wright Steel Fabrications. He can do your steel fabrication work up and down the country, but mainly in the Coventry and Warwickshire area. His logo is in the corner somewhere, if you can see it. And his link we can always give to you or DM us if you need more information. So, without further ado, let me introduce you my guest. Oh, just went silent, sorry. Let me introduce you my guests. Mark Smith is back from holiday, sunny Barbados. Hi, Mark, how are you?
Yeah, good, thanks. Yeah, hopefully I can bring a bit of extra sunshine to our season as well. Awesome.
Oh, I hope so. I hope you can start turning it around, mate, because I'm sure that Dan from All Stats Are We. Hi, Dan.
No, Stuart, how you doing, mate?
Yeah, good, mate. Thank you. How are you?
I'm good. I'm just jealous about Mark's holiday in Barbados. I want to hear about that.
Before we start properly, I met 2 Leeds fans out there as well. So
we're everywhere, mate. We get everywhere.
Yeah. lot of Yorkshire folk out there. So yeah, it's quite good.
Yeah.
Oh, nice. Lovely. Right. So before we get into it then, Dan, just let us know what you guys do and where we can find you.
So yeah, I'm part of a crew called All Stats Aren't We. So we're a podcast that focus on kind of stats and tactics already. I guess you could call us a bunch of Leeds nerds. And we kind of look at each match and just try and look at it from a tactical perspective, try and work out what the opposition were doing and what Leeds are doing, all that kind of stuff in the match and how the match played out and why the tactics impacted the match. So that's very much what we're interested in, and we'll look at the kind of underlying data that kind of underpins that as well a bit. So yeah, just that kind of trend of football nerds. We're the kind of Leeds version of that. So you can find us on Twitter at All Stats Aren't We. And if you're interested in listening to any of our podcasts, just go to your usual podcast provider and search All Stats Aren't We, and you'll find us. I think we've got a Coventry City preview coming out in a day or so. Some of my colleagues are doing that one, so look out for that. And there'll be a review, which I think I'm doing on Monday post the match. So if you want to hear what I think, come and listen.
Brilliant. Thank you very much. We definitely will, and obviously we'll share anything around that we do together as well. So that would be good. Yeah. So first of all, before we get into it, then Dan, how did pre-season go? Obviously, pre-season's gone. You know, we're 6 games into the season now. How did it go? How have your expectations been from pre-season to what it is now?
I'd answer that in 2 parts: on the field and off the field transfer business. Really, I'll go on the field. On the field, really good. We played 4 games, I think, and we won them all and against some pretty good opposition. We played Harrogate Town at the start, which is a local game. We always play Harrogate or York in pre-season. It's just a traditional thing. And then went to Germany because our Daniel Farke wanted to take the squad to Germany, and we beat Schalke in a friendly, and we beat Hanover in a friendly. So fairly good scalps. And then we beat Valencia in our last friendly of the season. And so on the field, it all looked very good. And there were some tactical changes that we saw in pre-season that I can talk about later, in terms of how we played. That's slightly different from last season. So that was all kind of exciting. So from that perspective, I came into the season fairly confident from what I'd seen pre-season. In terms of off the field, in terms of transfer business, it was quite a big summer. We lost a lot of players for a lot of money, a lot of good players for a lot of money. But I also think we signed some good players for reasonable money. I like the players that we brought in, so it's a bit of it's a hard one to measure, really. But absolutely gutted about losing players like Archie Gray, Absolutely gutted about Jorginho Rutter. I really loved him. Somerville, who was perhaps, the best attacker in the league last year, maybe you could argue. We lost Glenn Kamara, who's got a good experience centre mid. So that's 4 real big players there for us that we lost. But luckily, we got a lot of money for them. I mean, we raised like 120 million or something, which I think the club had to raise because there were kind of Premier League debts hanging over us for all transfers and stuff. But from what I can gather, from my understanding of the PSR and stuff, that settled us on the PSR front. So the club's stable and things are okay in that respect. In terms of replacements of those players, we did pretty well. Like, we replaced Archie Gray, who was a young midfielder who played right back for us last year, with a right back from Sheffield United called Jermaine Bogle, who your listeners might know. Good, I would call a good championship right back, specialised right back. So he's probably in the short term an upgrade on Gray, even though potentially probably not as good a player. Gray will probably go on to have a much better career long term. You would think. We signed. We got a centre midfielder from Germany, a Japanese centre midfielder I really like the look of. I think he's really promising. So as a replacement for Kamara. So again, a guy I like the look of, but he's not experienced in the Championship like Kamara was. Really, we got Joe Roffel on loan from Bournemouth, who you might know has been at Blackburn over the years. So a good Championship kind of steady guy. So I like a lot of sensible business like that. We replaced Somerville with a guy called Ramazani from Almeria in Spain. They got relegated, but he played really well in the top division in Spain, so got some pedigree. And we brought through, and we also got Mana Solomon from Tottenham, who's probably our big high-profile loan player. Again, a good winger, another attacker. So it feels like we've brought in quite good players, albeit not quite so high-profile as the guys that we lost. I was disappointed to lose the quality that we lost, but I quite like what we've done in terms of the incoming. So it wasn't a disaster, but it wasn't ideal.
Yeah, obviously you've moved us forward a little bit. Because I was going to come on to players, but we'll stay on the players. You've also re-signed Joe Rodon, who's probably one of the best centre halves questionable in the league. To be fair, he's absolutely brilliant player, highly thought of as well. Still young, and you mentioned about ins and outs. I believe that you bought in 21, but you sold 18, and obviously the money situation with PSR and everything has counteracted that. So, like you said, that you're stable. Do you feel that the players that you've bought in will get you up, or do you think the players that you've lost will kind of hinder you a little bit?
I don't think the players we've bought are as good as Jorginho Rutter, Crescencio Somerville, in particular.
Okay.
I also think the players that we've bought are a better stylistic fit for what we're trying to do, like a tactical fit, if that makes sense. So it might be that the sum of our parts is bigger this year, even though in moments some of the things that Rutter and Somerville in particular could do, was outside the league. They were on their day. They were Premier League players and mid-table Premier League players, not just surviving Premier League guys. But also in terms of the tactical fit, it didn't always work, and there were games where it didn't make sense. I think the guys that we've brought in, we've got more kind of square pegs for square holes, if that makes sense. So I'm hoping as the season progresses and the team becomes more cohesive, it might amount to the same thing. It might amount to the same points, which I think probably gets us up. So I'm kind of hopeful that the collective is as good, even if the high notes aren't quite as good, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, definitely. So going back to our last games, it's quite interesting actually, because I did the last 4, and the last 4 we drew at Ellen Road, and you lost at our place.
Yeah.
So that kind of bodes well for us, especially Mark, because we're not in a good place, are we? Really? You mentioned obviously watching us at 10 o'clock in Barbados, and the last game against Swansea, we were just dreadful, weren't we?
It was a disaster. The first 30 minutes was a disaster. Really, it was really, really poor. That's where the game was lost. Just very sluggish. Second best. They pressed us high. I suspect Leeds will play a similar style Saturday. They'll probably press us pretty much. it was really, really poor 30 minutes. And that killed our chances of getting anything out of the game. Jack Rudoni did score a goal, which gets back in the game, and we had one or two chances that we hit the bar with Rudoni's header. But overall, really, really disappointing performance. It's been a really disappointing season, really. 5 points from 6 games is simply not good enough. It's been really poor. And yes, the record, obviously, last couple of games at Leeds is okay, but we've dropped points against teams that we also had good records against, so we can't really factor that much into that. I'm not really confident about this game on Saturday, if I have to be honest. I think it's going to be a really, really difficult game. Obviously, Leeds have come away with a decent result at Cardiff, although Cardiff obviously seems to be the whipping boys of the division at the moment. So, but Leeds' position tells you that they're doing pretty well, 6th in the league. So, from our point of view, I wouldn't be surprised tactically if we maybe go something similar to how we set against Watford. Maybe they might go 3 centre halves, two at the back, and sort of 3 midfield. Looking at our Leeds setup, though, I think they generally like to play, I guess, a 4-5-1 formation, sort of 4-3-3, 4-5-1 kind of setup. So I don't know how Robbins will he might try and match that, or he might go a bit more defensively. I don't know, and just try and hit Leeds on the counter. But one thing was sure, it's going to be a really, really difficult game, and we desperately need the result because the season hasn't started yet for us. It's been really, really disappointing.
Yeah, obviously, last season at Ellen Road, there was I think it was like the 85th minute or something like that. Sakamoto does a wonderful cross, and Bobby Thomas leaps up and scores the equalising goal. And, a point at Ellen Road, I think, Sheffield United would take, a point at Ellen Road. Burnley would take a point at Ellen Road. Man City would probably take a point at Ellen Road. It's not the fortress really this season, is it, Dan? I don't think anyway. Not like it has been in the past.
I would before Dan answers the question, Burnley have already taken 3 points at Leeds.
Yeah.
So I think
there you go.
Yeah. But
still 3 points. Still 3 points.
Yeah.
And I think Man City would probably fancy the chances as well, to be fair. Let's not get carried away. They've got a couple of good players, haven't they? Like that.
They have, yeah. I know.
Yeah, he can play a bit. But yeah, no, you're right. I think we're a better away team. I think we're a team that thrives in space. So I'd rather play you at your place right now on a tactical level, where you would probably come onto us and have a go and give space. I think in space, in a kind of counter-attacking situation, I would argue we're perhaps the best team in the league at that. With space, I think that's what we're really, really strong at. And sometimes we struggle against at home when teams come and park the bus, basically, because we're not that good at breaking down low blocks. And I think that's what happened last year against you at Ellen Road. I think it was very much a game where we had all the ball, but didn't necessarily make a ton of brilliant chances with it. We struggled to break you down. And that's a bit of a theme at Ellen Road. So I think that's a stylistic, tactical issue. Under Daniel Farke, I don't think. It's funny because if you can remember his Norwich teams that got promoted twice, they were a really expansive team. They could break teams down. They always came late in games. They were maybe a little bit defensively suspect, but scored a lot of goals. It's almost something's flipped, and Farke isn't that anymore. Is like we're a good counter-attacking team. We do have lots of the ball, but we tend to have a lot of the ball in deeper areas where we don't hurt the opposition. So there's definitely a way to beat Leeds at Ellen Road, and I think Coventry were a good example of that last year. Not beat, but came away with a good game plan and came away with a point. And so, that's something we have struggled with. And I think that's what Burnley did a couple of weeks back. For example, Burnley nicked a goal, went one up, and then they didn't have a shot. I mean, that was the 30th minute. They didn't have a single shot after that. That tells you the state of the game. Yeah. But Leeds didn't have that many brilliant chances either. You know what I mean? So it wasn't... Okay. Burnley did a good job. I mean, we probably could have had a pen, but that's whatever. But, you could argue Leeds were a little bit unlucky, but we didn't break a stubborn defensive team down when we had a long time to do that.
Has the style of play changed from last season?
No, I wouldn't say style, no. We're still very much looking to draw the opposition out and transition into that space. Yeah. That's still like the main idea. And we still look to kind of win the ball, let the opposition play the ball out, and then try and hit them around the halfway line so we can counter into that space. With a good press. That's very much the basic idea. But the team shape's a bit different, so we're just the way the players are positioned is slightly different from last year. So it's more of a subtle change than a kind of a big stylistic change. If that makes sense.
Okay. Yeah. Any questions, Mark, at the minute for Dan?
I suppose the question is with obviously, as you mentioned, Dan, about a lot of transfers, comings and goings in the summer. Is Farquhar expected to deliver promotion for Leeds this season, or is it a case of just is the playoffs just a minimum target? Would you say for Leeds United?
No, top two is the target. Absolutely, the club have said it. It's straightforward. I think. I don't know for sure, but I would expect we'd be one of the biggest budgets in the league with our wage bill and what we spend. Even though we sold a lot, we still have a big, we still have an expensive squad relative to the rest of the league. It's our second year of parachute payments. So, we're going to push this year. And if we don't go up this year, then it's going to be a lot tougher because the parachute payment drops off a cliff after 2 years. We'd have to sell again probably in the summer. So, yeah, I think the big expectation is get up this year. We got close last year, do it this year.
Okay.
So, yeah, pressure's on.
Fair enough. Pressure is on, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. So, where do you see the threats from us coming from? What have you seen from Coventry?
I'm not paid tons of attention to you this year, but last season I remember you seemed to be you're a big team. Like your forward line was like Sims is a big guy, and he had your right's a big guy. You had big centre backs, and I seem to remember you being a really good set piece threat, certainly at Ellen Road. And that's something I worry about a little bit. I mean, our centre backs are great aerially, but beyond those two, we don't have a lot of height in our team. Mm-hmm. So I sometimes wonder, we've been fine with set pieces this season so far, to be fair, but I do wonder at some point we will come undone against a team of bigger, stronger guys, So I don't know if that's still the case with Coventry, if you still have that height that you did last season, but you still have that set piece threat.
Yeah, but to be fair, our set piece threat is probably slightly better than it was last season, just because we've got better takers of dead balls now. We've got Radoni, who can whip a ball in. We've got Torp, who can whip a ball in. We've got Sakamoto that can whip a ball in. Mark, obviously, we mentioned it at the start slightly about we don't know who's going to start. Do you think it's going to be a case of the usual suspects are going to start like you had you right, or do you think it's going to break character slightly and start somebody like Efron Mason-Clark?
Interesting question. I think I don't see Hadji Wright starting this game. I think, as I say, I think we're going to go fairly defensive. I would think we're going to play the way that I think the way Dan would like to see Leeds play, which is play on more of a counter-attacking game. I think that's the style I think we will look to play. I think so. The team I would go for is I would go Dovin in goal. I'd go Van Ivak at right back. I like to see Latty, Thomas, and probably Binks as my three, and then probably go. I like to see Jay De Silva start, and the reason why is because I think you need a bit of pace on the flanks going forward. So I wouldn't be too, I don't think Bibble's done all that this season. I think it's been disappointing actually. I thought last season he was fantastic, but this season's been pretty poor. And I'd go with. Now the question is, Stuart, is Ben Sheaf fit? That's the question, isn't it? I mean, he's on the bench obviously on Saturday, but if Ben Sheaf is fit for you, do you start him, or do you? I mean, that's a big call for Robbins, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. I think if Sheaf can do 60 minutes, then I think you start him.
Yeah.
If you think he can only do 45, I probably wouldn't even put him on the bench. I'd just wait until he can do the 60 minutes because we know how. And if he comes on, and somebody, clatters into him, he could be out for the rest of the season. And that's what I don't want. I want to make sure that when he's back fit, even if that means that we have to take another loss. Yeah. I would rather have a fit Ben Sheaf back and then be able to play with him consistently for hopefully the season, but however many games Ben Sheaf can muster in one go, because he is essential to us. We can clearly see that, but I just wouldn't want to risk him anymore. Really, but
I think
I was going to say, as a player, Leeds fans will probably prefer to see him out of the team because he's a great midfielder, isn't he? He's one of the best.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely.
I mean, him and we've probably got the two best defensive mids in the league in our squads, haven't we? Ampadu and Sheaf, perhaps arguably.
Yeah,
so
definitely.
Two areas where both clubs are very strong there, and seem to remember him being very good last year at Ellen Road. Just really kind of clogging that midfield up and really, kind of dominating his little space, his duels and stuff. So he's a real good player. So I get your concern. But if you've got a player that important, you've got to wrap him in cotton wool, haven't you, until he's ready?
Yeah, you have, definitely. I totally agree.
Yeah.
So who would you play up front, Mark?
So I'd go 2 up front. I'd actually go Sims and Bissett to see how they get on. I want someone who can bit of pace because no team likes playing against someone with pace. I think Bissett can provide that. I think he's shown glimpses of what he can do. I think he's got potential, and he was a bit unlucky the header against Swansea, so I'd give him another go, and I'll start him up front with Ellis Sims. I'd go 2 up front and see what we can do on the counter, because I just think playing 1 up front, I just feel plays a little bit into Leeds' hands a bit. So I'll probably go 2 up front for me. That's what I'd do. Yeah,
again, I just think we played with a back 3 at the start of last season, and it didn't work for us. We just got found out too easily, and against a good passing Leeds side, I would worry. I would want to start with 4 at the back personally.
You say that, Stuart, but look at how we played against Watford. We played that formation. We dominated that first against Watford, and Watford are not. They were doing pretty well at the start of the season. Watford. I mean, you probably say Watford are probably a mid-table side this season, but I just thought we looked a better team with 3 at the back.
Well, I thought with Watford we played 4 at the back. Milan was right wing. He took Sakamoto's place. Latti played right back.
I looked at the formation. Latti is centre back. So if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. That's fine.
Yeah, no. The way that it looked on because I watched that one on TV. The way it looked on TV was Latti was right back, and then you had Bidwell. I think it was Bidwell left back, and then you had Milan as right wing. Now, that would be something that I would like to do, especially against Leeds as well, because I think even though Sakamoto played well at Ellen Road, and he did provide the assist for Bobby Thomas, I just think that Milan would provide that extra speed and power, and he cuts inside and he acts like that another central midfielder.
Yeah. Well, I think you look at who we're up against on Saturday. You're probably going to have Ramzani. He'll probably play wide left. So he's quite pacey. I looked at how he scored that goal against Cardiff. Very good finish. Quite fast on the counter attack. So you certainly definitely need MV for that position. And obviously you got Wilfried got Nongto on the right. So they've got 2 decent wingers there. So I think you need someone with a bit of pace. That's why I'd be considering going for Jada Silva.
Yeah.
I know he's not the tallest of guys, but I think he's got pace. I think which is what maybe Bidwell lacks. So I'd probably go Jada Silva as a start for this one.
Okay, fair enough. Any other questions for Denmark?
No, nothing more for me. No.
Okay, lovely. Predictions then. Mark, I'll go to you first. What's your prediction for Saturday?
I'm not very confident about this game. I think we are underdogs for a reason. I want to be proven wrong, and I'm usually wrong with my predictions, which is why I'm going for a 3-1 Leeds win.
Okay, Dan, what's your prediction?
If Leeds score first, and we did this last year against you actually, and it's one of the few times we didn't do this, but generally Leeds are good at holding a lead. We're a good team. The stats backed that up last year. We were I think we had the most points from leading positions and all that kind of stuff. Gave the lead up fewest. You were one of the few teams that pegged us back actually. So, but I would fancy us if we take a lead to go on and win by a couple. If the game gets stodgy and the crowd get grumpy, and the Leeds crowd do get grumpy, believe me, and they get on the back, and and there's a bit of time wasting by keeper, whatever, and we don't like that, and all that kind of stuff. I could see it being a really sticky, stodgy game, and you nicking it or being a draw. So it's kind of like, ask me after an hour, I'll tell you how it's going to go. But if we get an early goal, I'd be confident that we would, as long as you came out and played a bit after that to try and get back in the game, I would fancy us to get a second and seal the win. So I'm going to say it's going to be a 2-0 win to Leeds, but it wouldn't absolutely be a shock if it's a really tight game and ends up all square.
Yeah, people that listen to our YouTube channel and our podcast will know that I don't ever do a Coventry loss. I just can't do it. It's just not in me. The worst I'll ever do is a draw. It is going to be such a difficult game at Ellen Road, and I am worried. But I am going to go for a 1-1 draw. I just don't think that Ellen Road, like you said, if we can hold you to 60 minutes, the crowd will slightly get annoyed and start turning slightly. And if we can start singing our hearts out like we do everywhere we go, I just think the crowd will hopefully get behind them and push us on and get that result that we need. So I am going to go for a 1-1 draw. I think we will get a point out of you. I hope we get a point out of you anyway. But
wouldn't be a shock at all.
Yeah, this is a game that I am worried about, though, because like you said, if you go 1-0 up, I can see Robbins just asking them to play, and I just think that you'll turn this over. If we show up, we can give anybody a game, including Leeds, because we've done it in the past. We did it last season, but at the moment we're not showing up often, and that's my worry. We're not the team that we were last season, and we've got to start being that team, really, for me. Otherwise, we are going to struggle and we are going to be down there, and I don't want us to be, obviously. So lovely. Thanks for that, Dan. Much appreciated. Before I let you go, I do like to do quick fire questions with our guests. One-worded answers, just the first thing that comes to your head, if you can. I'm doing the same questions for each team pod that I have on. So it's just so something in the reverse fixture we can look back on and see if anything's changed, really. So to your questions. So the first one is player to look out for Leeds this season.
Willie Nonto.
Nonto. It's a good player. I haven't even mentioned Nonto. Absolutely great player. Should be in the Premier League, to be fair. And
he's stepping up this year a bit. He's out the shadow of Somerville and Rutter a little bit, and I think he's grabbing that, and becoming a bit of a leader for our attack this year. So yeah, I think he's young. He's young, only 19.
Is he still only 19? Is he?
Well, I'm gonna have to check now. I'm pretty sure. Willie Nonto he's 20. He's 20. 20 years old.
Yeah, he just turned then, I think, because he is young. I know he is young.
Yeah, he's young. Yeah. He made his debut as an 18-year-old in the Premier League.
Yeah, he did. Yeah. Fantastic. And you've still got Dan. We haven't even mentioned Dan James and Joel Perot.
Yeah, he's injured.
Is he?
Dan James is injured. Yeah, he's out. He's Dan James is out at the moment, so you won't see him.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I'm going to say we win then because you ain't got Dan James. No, I'm only joking. I'm only joking. But no, right. Okay, Nonto. Where will Cov finish?
8th.
Okay, that's what I've actually predicted today. Where will you finish?
2nd.
Who do you think wins it then? Just out of curiosity. This isn't my question.
Sheffield United.
Oh, well, okay. One player from Coventry you would take?
I can't give you a one-word answer because I've got I quite like Ellis Sims.
Interesting. Why do you like Ellis Sims, out of curiosity?
It's a bit of a nerd tactics thing. I think he's different from anything we've got, and he'd be a really handy, different type of forward. I don't think he's your best player. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying for what Leeds need.
Yeah.
Chucking a big lad on, which sometimes is a good idea, that can rumble with the opposition centre backs. I think that's something we lack.
Oh, fantastic. Okay, Sims. Yeah. Nice. Like that.
I mean, your best player's Chief, isn't he? But we've got Ampadu, so it'd be a waste of attacking a player. So
yeah, no, get it, like it, love it. Last question, Daniel Farker.
Steady away, fine.
Okay. He doesn't,
not in love, but he's all right.
If he doesn't get you up this season, does he go at the end?
Yes.
Wow. Okay. So the pressure is really on him then, isn't it, this year?
Yeah. I don't think if we do go up, I don't think he'll last long in the Premier League. I think they move on quick as well.
Do you?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, fair enough. Okay.
Yeah.
Lovely. Thank you very much for joining us, Dan. If you can just let us know where we can find you and what you guys do again.
So I'm involved in All Stats Aren't We, a Leeds Tactics and Stats podcast. You can find us on Twitter at All Stats Aren't We, and you can just search for us where you get your podcasts. Just search All Stats Aren't We.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. And just remember where you can find us, guys. It is scrolling down the bottom as well. We are on Twitter or X, Facebook, TikTok, Instagram. We're on YouTube. We're on podcasts as well. So please go and rate us 5 stars on podcasts if you listen to us. We're sponsored by Right Steel Fabrications, and we're partnered with the Anecdote Sports Bar and the Sky Blue Tavern. So thank you very much, Mark, for joining. Much appreciated. Hope you're still not too I hope you're over your jet lag now.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah.
Winning on Saturday will help a bit, Paul. Yeah.
Excellent. And Dan, thank you very much for joining. We'll obviously, once this goes out, we'll tag you in. If you can share it amongst your guys as well, that'd be much appreciated.
I will do, Stuart. Yeah, thanks for having me, mate.
Thank you very much. Cheers, guys. Play up, Sky Blues. Good luck, apart from Saturday, Dan.
Likewise.
Cheers, buddy.
See you.
Cheers.
Bye.